Hello, hello, everyone. What's going on? Welcome to this MetaHuman webinar. My name is Sam. I'm the creative director for Rokoko. Hey guys, we're gonna let everybody roll in for another couple minutes because we know not everyone is always on time. Man, we have a ton of people here. It's awesome to see everyone. We have almost 600 people watching right now. Getting a lot of love in the Q&A. So I'll do a proper intro in a few moments and I'll repeat this, but just you can ask questions of our team using the Q&A panel. It's at the bottom of your little Zoom window. And we have our whole team who are based out of Denmark. They're on the case right now. They're answering all the questions. And so they are, if you have questions, ask it in the Q&A area and our team will answer. And hopefully we'll get to everything with everyone who's here. Boom, just cracked 600. So we're gonna give it 2 more minutes. Steve, excited for this. Samuel Meadow, another Sam in the chat. Man, there's a lot of questions that the team has already gotten to. Richard, Karnya. Oh man, people from all over the world. Welcome, 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 everyone. Prajay, Kit, Peter, Hugo. Richard Allen is asking, is parking validated for this seminar? You'll have to consult your internet provider for that. My dad joke of the webinar. We're just gonna give it 1 more minute. I'm just gonna, give people that extra 5 minutes to join, and then we'll get started officially. But hopefully everyone's having a wonderful Thursday, morning, evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, it's close enough. We are going to get started. So, hello, everyone. Again, my name is Sam Lazarus. I'm the creative director for Rokoko, and we are super excited about this MetaHuman webinar. So a few points of just business before we get started. You can check out our social media channels at Hello Rokoko on Instagram, and then we have a big YouTube channel with tons of tutorials and lots of content in all the various 3D programs. If you want to find out more about our products and about our workflows and how everything works with our motion capture. So I encourage you to check out our social channels. We also have cool announcements that we will post out there, and we feature users' content all the time. So if you ever create content using our system, make sure to tag us, and we'd love to post all of our community's content. So check those out. Also, we are so excited about these MetaHumans that we will be giving out a discount code during this webinar. So I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but it will be a 10% discount on any of your purchases. Now is the time to get into it. These MetaHumans are just incredible, and we've been having a blast. And so we were excited to give out another code to get everyone, if you're interested in buying, maybe that'll, be what you need to take the plunge. It is, better than the mocap is getting more and more exciting with these MetaHumans by the day, it seems like. Yeah. So what are we going to do in this webinar? So, this webinar is called Hacking the MetaHumans. And if you don't know, the MetaHumans are digital characters that Unreal and Epic have released in the last couple of months for use in Unreal Engine. So these are, super high fidelity character assets that are fully rigged, that will have full, cloth physics for the clothes. They're customizable. They have hair physics. They have all these amazing things kind of built into them. And that really breaks open what's possible with motion capture, because while you've been able to record full performance motion capture, so that's using motion capture for your body, your hands, and your face for a long time, having these characters now available for free means that you can, use that motion capture to create like incredible AAA level, game cinematics or, game animations or visual effects stuff or CG, short films or whatever it is. Basically, these MetaHumans are one of the first really complete digital human character packages that's available for free for everyone. And so we're super excited about all this. Okay, so I'm going to, first of all, I'm just gonna, because not everyone here maybe knows what Rokoko is. First, I'm gonna go through a little presentation and just describe the suit and the hardware and the software. And then we're gonna get into actually, getting into Unreal Engine and hacking the MetaHumans. Essentially, what we're going to go through is how to use the MetaHuman heads on non-MetaHuman bodies. So if you want to combine the head with like a robot or something, we're going to kind of walk through a couple methods of doing that. So I'm going to start my screen share, and I have a little presentation here. Let me bring it up. And if you're just joining us, we are just getting started, so you haven't missed anything. Okay, I'm going to share this. Okay, so Rokoko's mission, what is our mission? Our mission is to make motion capture hardware and software that is affordable, reliable, and high quality. So traditionally, motion capture hasn't, been available for like the indie creator. It's something you need tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in to get a big studio to use it. Our goal is to allow the indie creator, someone who's maybe a one-person studio, to use motion capture in a way that shortens all their workflows and just makes their lives easier. So we have a couple pieces of hardware that allow us, to do that we make and that we offer. The first is the Smart Suit Pro. So I'm wearing the Smart Suit Pro. All of our mocap systems are inertial motion capture systems. That basically means that I have 19 sensors that are spread throughout my suit. They work over Wi-Fi that essentially allow, the suit to communicate all of my motions of my body to the computer. And so that's how we record our motion capture using the suit. You can also take all of the sensors out of the suits and you can put them in like a different size suit, or you can wash the suits if you're sharing the suit among, a team or something. And so, the goal is to have something that's very versatile and like agile, and that you can use and is durable and is also affordable. So, you don't have to really worry about like insuring it or, it's durable. You can treat it as you are, you can move regularly in it and not worry about like breaking it. It's also powered by generic USB battery packs. So I have them zipped up in the back of the suit, and that's kind of the body motion capture aspect. We also just released our smart gloves about a year ago now, I want to say. So these are gloves that are super awesome. I don't know how big my screen is, but I have them right here. And they also work over Wi-Fi. They have sensors throughout the glove. They aren't affected by magnetic interference, so you can hold phones or swords or props or whatever you want to do. And they're also powered by generic battery pack. And I mentioned the generic battery pack a lot because it's great that it's not like an internal battery unit. You can always have multiple battery packs that you can get for cheap, ready to go and charge. So you never like show up ready to do a mocap shoot and you're out of battery. We also have a facial motion capture app. It currently only works for the iPhone, but we are working on an Android solution that'll be coming in the future. It's a free app, and it uses the Apple ARKit blend shapes. So the Apple ARKit is made up of 52 blend shapes that make up all the positions of your face. And essentially you record your face just using an iPhone, and then we take that data into Rokoko Studio, and you get this facial motion capture. And all of these GIFs that I'm showing here are kind of low quality because I wanted them to play well on this webinar, but they're all using the MetaHumans. So all of this has been, with the MetaHumans. And then the thing that kind of holds everything together is Rokoko Studio. So this is our software. So you use Rokoko Studio to record your motion capture, onto the computer. And in Rokoko Studio, we have all of these live streaming plugins that let you live stream that data out to Unreal or Unity or Cinema 4D or whatever it is. And we also have these built-in easy cleanup tools. Mocap is always going to involve some level of cleanup, and we tried to make ours as simple as possible by building it into our software. And so it's just a couple of clicks away, and you can clean up any foot drift or anything like that. You want to smooth out your hips or something, you can do all of that. We also have a 2.0 version of the software coming soon, where you'll be able to actually edit your motion capture within the software before you get to Blender, before you get to Unreal. And so that's all very exciting as well. So that was just a brief overview of what we do. We do a couple of other things, but for the purpose of this webinar, that's the motion capture tools that kind of comprise our system. And when you combine all of these tools, you get full performance capture. So generally, full performance capture refers to motion capture that includes the body, the gloves, the face, the whole character, right? You want to be able to record your entire character's performance. And so using all of our tools and our software, you can make incredible, really, I do think AAA level content at this point, and especially because of these metahumans. This is a metahuman, this little clip right here. Again, it's a GIF, so it's a little low quality, but all of this was recorded using the suit, throwing it onto a metahuman head that has been put onto a Paragon body. And we're going to get into how you can do that a little bit later into the webinar when we actually hop into Unreal. Moving on, why is Sam always so excited about the metahumans, and why has the whole world been going crazy about the metahumans? Well, as I said at the beginning, the metahumans represent a kind of a big leap forward for the indie community, especially in that while there have been some ways to create characters for your CG, whether it's DAZ, whether it's Character Creator, both good options, there hasn't really been a fully integrated system, and especially not for Unreal, where everything just kind of works out of the box, especially when it comes to like cloth dynamics and hair dynamics. The metahumans they solve that bottleneck. So now you can record your full performance motion capture, and you have this incredibly high quality character that you can use that motion capture with, right? And so there's no more character bottleneck that was kind of existing in that, you would record your mocap and then you wouldn't know what to do with it. Where can I put facial mocap? There aren't a ton of models that take it. These metahumans solve that problem. They're also free. Which is incredible. I mean, there is like little hairs and pores in these characters. They're incredibly high quality and they're free. And that's just, something incredible about, I think, the Unreal platform is that, up until a certain point, I think it's up until you're making over $100,000 or something, all of these tools are completely free. And afterwards, they just take a small percentage of your revenue. I think that system is amazing, especially because it has opened up these tools to the indie community, which is incredible. They're super high quality, as I said. They're going to be customizable. And for all of this, a good caveat is that, the best is yet to come. MetaHuman Creator is currently in alpha. So that's the way that you generate your MetaHuman characters. It's currently in alpha. It's going to be getting better. We actually had a call with the MetaHuman team a couple of days ago, and, it's just going to get better and better, and it's going to be more accommodating even of mocap than it is now in the future. So lots to get excited about. Okay, so a couple more exciting things because we're so pumped on these metahumans and we believe in them so much. We have created 5 free project files that are made up of the metahuman, faces put onto these Paragon bodies. So Paragon was a video game that didn't do too well, and Epic ended up releasing all of these super high quality character models for free on their store. And so what we did is we went and we took a bunch of metahuman heads and we kind of figured out a good way that we're going to go through in a second of getting them onto these incredibly high quality, armor and robot bodies. And you have this result where these 5 project files that we're going to be giving out in the email, and you can check some of our YouTube videos for links moving forward to them. But you can open them up and they're ready to go with your Rokoko suit, like out of the box. And again, it's just amazing to have access to, like, these are AAA quality character assets combined with the AAA quality faces and hair. It's just amazing. So we're excited to be offering those project files. And as I said at the beginning of the webinar, we are also offering a 10% discount code on all Rokoko orders after the webinar. So we're going to send out this code. It's going to be MetaMay, I'm pretty sure, but you'll get an email after the webinar with the code. And the reason we're doing all this is because we really believe in this system. It's amazing what the MetaHumans are allowing people to start creating. And yeah, if you're on the fence about jumping in, now is the time with the new MetaHumans. It's really, there's nothing stopping you from creating these incredible, again, this I made in a day, this entire cutscene, and you can do that now fairly easily, which is just all amazing. Okay, so let's jump into it. We're gonna actually get into it, and then at the end we are gonna take a few questions, and so stay tuned for the end. But now we're actually gonna jump into Unreal Engine and actually play around, and we're gonna show you. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to isolate a MetaHuman head and put it on a non-MetaHuman body. So this is a robot body that I got online, and I just wanted to combine it with the MetaHuman head to make this, cool character. And so we're going to kind of go through that process. We're not going to go through MetaHuman Creator or really getting into the MetaHumans and creating MetaHumans. We have content on our YouTube channel for that. There's lots of tutorials out there for that. This is going to be about, again, as the name of the webinar is, hacking MetaHumans. We're trying to use the MetaHuman heads and put them on these non-MetaHuman bodies. Mostly because currently there's only 3 clothing options for the MetaHumans. So if you want to expand that and put your MetaHumans, in some armor or something, this is probably one way that you could do it. In CG, there's always a million ways to do everything. So with that, let's jump into it. So here I am in Unreal. I'm in Unreal 4.26, I believe. And of course, Unreal 5 is coming out soon, and that will have implications for this workflow, but we're going to tackle that at a later date. I don't think everyone is going to be jumping over to Unreal 5 in the next 6 months. So Unreal 4 is going to be pertinent for quite a while still. So here I am in Unreal 4. I've already imported my MetaHuman into my Unreal project, and you can see right here that I have this little MetaHuman folder. So if I open that up and I go to the main Payton folder, which is the name of this MetaHuman, and I open up this blueprint, it's going to open up in the event graph, but I can actually click over to the viewport. And the first thing you'll notice is that the MetaHumans, depending on where you are in the scene, you might not have hair grooms or anything like that. And that's because, oh, you know what? Actually, I need to go back a little bit. And it looks like our MetaHuman is missing some of those hair grooms. So what we're going to do is actually go into Quixel, and I'm going to import another MetaHuman really quickly. So this is how you get a MetaHuman into your Unreal project. And I'm going to select this guy right here. I'm just going to hit export. And so Quixel is a free program where you will download all of your MetaHumans. And it's also has mega scans, which is how you get 3D assets into Unreal. So it's an amazing service. It's also free. But as you can see, I'm importing in that new MetaHuman. So I'm going to let this think for a second. And he is going to import. Looks like our team is doing their best to answer these questions. 152 answered so far, so keep asking them. And thank you. Big shout out to our team in Denmark at HQ, who are all taking all these questions right now. Okay, so we've imported our MetaHuman. Let's open this guy up. And okay, oddly, it looks like this guy actually doesn't have the grooms either. So I'm going to just start a new project, and we're gonna take this from scratch. So bear with us while we do this. Of course, something always decides to go wrong. So we're just going to create a new project here. We'll just start from scratch and we can show you the whole process. Okay, we're going to create a brand new project. Next. And we're going to locate it in here. We're going to call it MetaHuman Demo. And we're going to open that guy up. Yes, facial mocap with an Android. People are psyched about that. Okay. I need to just add our Quixel plugin here. I'm going to do that off screen. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually enable my Rokoko plugin, which is you can get for free on the Epic Marketplace. So I'm going to enable that. And when I do that, it's going to ask me to restart. So I'm going to do that. Dag is asking, is there a special license for schools for MetaHumans, or can we just use it for free? It's free. So right now it's in alpha, so you just have to sign up, and they'll eventually open it up and let everyone come in. But right now you just have to sign up and register for the MetaHuman creator, and but it's all free for everyone. So okay, I've got my project here, and I'm going to import my MetaHuman again. And we're gonna wait until this guy populates. It's thinking. We got a crash, of course. Sorry, everyone. So we're just gonna restart this. Of course, this is what happens when we got our webinar going. Bear with us for a second. Okay, here we go. So we got our MetaHuman loading in, and we're going to isolate the head momentarily. We just got to let it load in, and we actually might have to do another restart when we do this. I assume the Paragon project files only work on PC, says Katarina. I have a Mac. I'm not sure. I think they should work on everything. I think that they should work in Unreal Engine no matter what. We also have a question from Jason. Once a MetaHuman is placed in an Unreal scene, can it be hot swapped out with other downloaded MetaHumans? So you don't need to reassociate the mocap performance. You can do that. The MetaHumans are all made to kind of work with each other. So as you can see, it's asking me to do another restart. So we're going to restart it again. But yeah, you know, they've designed the MetaHumans so they all share a similar skeleton, and you can kind of hot swap out the meshes or grooms, you know, for the hair or whatever as needed. Another good question, is it possible to use the MetaHumans and keep their body, but add something to the mesh like gloves? Yeah, it is. You know, we're going to go through a method of essentially pairing other meshes with the MetaHumans in a second. So you could use that same way to you know, maybe hide the hands, and then you could add gloves and pair them to the hand bone, and that should work. Okay, so let's open up our MetaHumans. Let's actually get into it now. We're going to have to compile some textures probably. When I'm gonna open up this MetaHuman blueprint of Owie, which I looked up how to pronounce his name. And okay, so here we go. So now this is what we were looking for. So this is our MetaHuman blueprint. And as you can see, right now it's in a setting where the level of detail depends on your proximity to your MetaHuman. So, for games, sometimes you don't need super high quality, assets. You want it to be lower quality or level of detail so it doesn't, chug the system. We want a high level of detail. So I'm going to select LOD sync, and I'm going to change this forced LOD to 0. And that will essentially ensure, I'm going to hit compile and save, that no matter how far away we are from the MetaHuman, it's always going to be the highest level of detail. Okay, so now, I have this MetaHuman, but I want to use the head on another character's body, right? So what do we need to do for that? We need to isolate this MetaHuman's head. And the way we're going to get started with that is if we go to the body here, and again, I'm in the main MetaHuman blueprint here for this character, right? And I'm in the viewport. But if we select the body, you can see that we have a mesh assigned to that body. So if I just go and clear this mesh, right away, you can see that we're making progress towards isolating that head, right? I'm not actually going to clear this mesh, although you can keep this, body here. It's kind of more non-destructive to just clear the mesh and keep the body in case you wanted to add it back in later. I'm just going to delete the body because we don't need it. Boom. Then I'm going to delete the torso and the legs and the feet because we don't need them. We're just looking for that sweet MetaHuman head. So now we have the MetaHuman, but we still have these shoulders. And while maybe sometimes you might want the shoulders because it's coming out of a shirt or something and you want the neck, and we have characters in that free project files where we've left the shoulders. In this case, I want to get rid of those shoulders. I just want that head. Imagine we were trying to put the head in a jar in a spooky scene and we just needed the head, or we wanted the head on a spike or something like that. So the way to get rid of these shoulders is I'm going to add my blueprint to the top here in my Unreal. I'm going to go back to the main content browser. I'm going to go up into my MetaHuman folder. I'm going to go to Common, Face Anim BP. I'm going to open this guy up. And this is also going to open up in the event graph. And we want to go over to the Anim graph. So the way that we are going to get rid of these shoulders is we're going to create a pose asset that kind of gets rid of them. And then we're going to run that, wire that into our blueprint here. So if I go to the skeleton, and this is where, we get into the hackiness. This is hacky. And the Unreal team were very amused by this in a good way. They were like, yeah, if this works, it works. It's great. Good job on you. Isolating that head. This is definitely one way to do it. So the way we're going to do it is I'm going to select the pelvis and I'm going to scale this down to 0.1 across the board on that scale. And of course, that's going to shrink down my mesh, right? However, if we then select the head and we scale the head up to 10, oh, look at this. Now we have a head and we have completely, the shoulders are still there, but they're scaled down so much that, really we're just left with the head and nobody's going to notice those shoulders. So now we effectively have a MetaHuman where we've just isolated the head out. So how do we make this permanent? Because we need to make this so that we can add it to our blueprint. So it will be reflected in our, in our actual MetaHuman character. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go to create asset, create pose asset, current pose. And then I'm just going to save this pose. I'm going to call this head isolated. I'm going to save it to the main content browser folder. So you can see here, it's called pose 0. If I double click on this, here's our pose. And here's our normal MetaHuman head. So now if we jump back to our face blueprint, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull this guy so it's floating here. And I'm going to go back to my main content browser. And here's that pose asset that we just created. And I'm going to drag that into my blueprint. and I'm going to right click on it and hit convert to pose by name. and hit convert to pose by name. Add this back up here. So here it is. I converted it to pose by name. You can see that we can put in a pose name here. I'm going to make this pose_0. So that was the name of that pose asset we created, right? Pose_0. And now I'm going to wire this into this layered blend per bone node here. And so now if we hit compile, here we go. We've got an isolated MetaHuman head. And if this is a lot to follow, I know it is. We have a tutorial that will be live, right after this webinar that goes through this whole process that's recorded. And so, I know this is a lot of information, but I kind of just want to run through the process. And you can go and look at the tutorial later if you want to see what we did again. So while I'm in this face blueprint here, we're actually going to do something else. So there's been a lot of complaints that I've seen online. People have concerns over the Apple ARKit capabilities. So basically that's, what the iPhone uses. It's all the motion capture for the, your animojis and everything. And it's built off these 52 blend shapes that people think maybe are not the highest quality. And it's true that, hand-keyed motion capture or hand-keyed animation, you might get more expressiveness, but you can get amazing results using this system. And especially, again, you saw that full performance capture clip that I was showing earlier, you can get really emotional performances from this facial motion capture. The one complaint that I've seen is that sometimes the mouth tends to hang open a little bit when you're using Apple ARKit facial motion capture. So this goes for our facial motion capture and for Unreal's built-in facial motion capture system, which also runs off of an iPhone. There is a solution for that little lip hanging open, and that is we're going to add a modify curve node right here. And I'm going to wire that in. And if I right click on this little guy right here, we can add a curve pin. And sometimes I need to add 2 to be able to search. So I'm just going to add 1, and then I'm going to search for mouth shrug lower. Again, this is all in the tutorial, if this is a lot of information. I'm going to remove this pin that I added here because we care about this mouth shrug lower. So if I make this 0.5 and I zoom into my MetaHuman here, as soon as we hit compile, you'll see the lip kind of move up a little bit. There we go. So that was all it is. And that's just going to ensure that our facial motion capture is as high quality as it possibly can be. So at this point, we have isolated the head. We fixed the facial motion capture lip. And now you can see if we go back to our main blueprint, we have our head here completely isolated. And you can see the quality of these assets. That's kind of nightmarish, but look at the pores, and there's just little tiny hairs all over the nose and everything. It's really amazing what they've done. But so now we have this isolated head, and what we can do is we can drag it into our scene. I'm going to reset to default. That will zero it out. And now we have this head that is ready to go, and we can plop onto a character. So if I wanted to add, let's go through how to add Rokoko motion capture now to this character. So here in Rokoko Studio, I have a pre-recorded scene that I actually used in a music video that we made using the MetaHumans about a month ago. And I want to get this facial motion capture onto our head, let's say. So I'm going to go and I'm going to turn on our Unreal Engine module here. So all of these modules allow us to live stream this motion capture that we've captured using our suit, using our glove, using our facial motion capture. And we can stream that out to other programs. And so here I can turn on the Unreal Engine stream, and we can see we're streaming to port 14045. And if I just let this run in the background, I'm going to jump back into Unreal. We can go to Live Link. We also need to add a Rokoko receiver to our scene. So as soon as you do that, you can see that we have this port number here that matches what we were doing in Rokoko Studio. Once we've added that Rokoko receiver, we turn on this Live Link Studio source. You can see that we have our actors here. And then if we go to our MetaHuman, under Live Link Face Subject, select the face. Let's give it a save so we don't get more of those crashes. Always a good idea to be saving. And if we hit play, here we go. So this guy is playing back. Sorry for the choppiness. You know, motion capture from Rokoko Studio. And so this is kind of the beginning of this workflow to put this head onto another onto a non-MetaHuman body, right? Okay, so now let's go through and actually add the non-MetaHuman body. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to open up Rokoko Studio. I'm going to stop this so we don't get any lag here. And I'm going to put this guy, I'm just going to minimize it, excuse me. And I'm going to go get a little robot that I've prepped for this. I'm going to create a new folder here, call this robot. And now, if I go to my models and I'm going to grab this robot and add it into this folder. This is just an FBX that I got this character, this robot character. And essentially what I did is in Maya, I just removed the head from this character. So we have a headless character. Okay, here we go. As you can see here, we have this headless character. I'm just going to go in and fix these textures really quick so we can make sure it looks good. We do that just by adding these guys in here. Add it to the base color, add our normal, hit apply. You can see that now our robot is properly textured here. And so now we're going to basically just follow the workflow that we recommend for any live streaming into Unreal. So I'm going to right click our skeleton, go to create, and in blueprint, open up this animation blueprint. And here I'm going to make kind of our general blueprint that we use when we're live streaming into Unreal for any character. I'm going to start with a local to component node. And again, this is all in the tutorial that is going to be live if you want to follow along later. Create a Rokoko body pose. I'm going to change this actor name to match what's in Rokoko Studio. So Sam, which is just my name. And then I am going to add this bone list here to our character. So right here, we have this bone list that I've made ahead of time. Again, we get into all of that in our tutorial. This is already in a T-pose. So at this point, this is now ready to go. I'm gonna hit compile. And as you can see, it's already kind of following the mocap that we have from Rokoko Studio. So now we go in and we add this robot into our scene. I'm going to zero out the position. And I'm actually going to turn off live link right now so we can just get that T-pose again. I'm going to delete this live link. And we just want to save this. Well, we'll just go through and add the head to this as it is. But essentially what we're going to do now is parent this head to the head bone of our robot. So I didn't realize how easy this was. But at this point, what we can do is just take this BP owie, and I'm going to, get him into position here. So let's just move him over and kind of position him right on the head of the robot. And we could take more time with this, obviously, but I'm just trying to get him on here. There we go. Good enough for now. Might be a little rotated oddly, but at this point, once we put him into position, we can just drag him onto our body and then search for the head. And boom, now it's going to follow the robot's mocap, and it's going to be just parented to it. So if I add my source back in, so this is Rokoko Studio that it's communicating with, we hit play. And now if I open up Rokoko Studio here and I hit play, there we go. We have our character using a MetaHuman head, that has full facial motion capture. I think we might actually need to turn on the facial motion capture again. So let's do that. Let's make sure it's reading it correctly. And yeah, so that's kind of how that workflow goes. So again, check out the tutorial. We cover all of this, and it's really easy to get these heads onto these bodies, and so you can use your MetaHuman with any sort of character. Okay, so we ran into some troubles there in the beginning, so we're kind of running a little bit late on time, but I do want to open up one of the characters that we made in the free projects that we're giving out. So again, we're going to have links to these projects following this webinar. I'm going to close this guy out. I'm going to save it. But these are 5 projects with various characters using the Paragon bodies and the MetaHumans heads. So here is one of them. And this is actually using that same head that we just were using in that other project. But this is I just opened up this project. So this is what you will get when you download these free project files. They all come ready to go. And all you need to do is you need to turn on Live Link. We're going to add our Rokoko Studio source. Boom. Remember, it's still playing in the background. And when we hit play here we go. And the really cool thing about this is that these Paragon assets are, again, as I said before, they're super high quality. So this armor looks amazing. And more importantly, it has dynamic cloth already built into the character model. And so we will have tutorials that run through, how you could download and make your own MetaHuman head and attach it to these character models. It's a similar workflow to what we just went through, which again was a little all over the place. But if you follow the tutorials, it's really pretty easy to do. I'm really excited about using essentially what are all pre-made, super high quality assets together that are free, that anyone can use. You can use in a music video tomorrow. And, these are models that might cost hundreds of dollars if you got them on Turbo Squid. The MetaHumans, they just don't even make things like that, really. You'd have to go through all these processes to get your DAZ character, your character creator character into Unreal. It's really starting to become super easy to have access to this full performance capture tech, working with high quality assets that have facial capture, that have built-in cloth, that have all this stuff that you can go ahead and you can throw into, again, projects for free. Kind of blows my mind. I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but that kind of takes us through a lot of what I wanted to get through in terms of the actual working in Unreal. So at this point, I can try to answer some of the outstanding questions. Our team has been highlighting some important ones that I can go through, and keep asking your questions over Zoom, because our team has answered now 260 questions and they're still at it. So Nick is asking, is this Michael Waysham's model? Yes, it is his model, and you can use the rigged Unreal version. I prepped it in Maya, but that is that model, that robot model that you were seeing. Okay, so let's cover some questions that have been coming up. So can you cover how to retarget animation from Rokoko if you're not live streaming into Unreal, or do you not recommend doing that? So this is a fantastic question from Jason Smart. So there's two ways of dealing with motion capture and your characters. One is, and I'm going to stop this. One is that you record an asset into Rokoko Studio, and then you export that recorded asset out and you retarget it, which means that, in your program, in say Unreal or in Blender, you basically match up all the bones between your mocap and your character, and you get them to talk to each other so that the mocap motion is transferred onto your character. So that is a great method that we would normally recommend. The reason that I use this streaming method, live streaming method into Unreal, is that currently there isn't a very good workflow for retargeting facial motion capture. So yes, you can absolutely retarget body and glove motion capture onto your characters. If you're not worried about facial motion capture and you're going to use the control rig in Unreal to like have your character do smiles and frowns and stuff, you can absolutely just go through the retargeting workflow. And we have, again, search our YouTube for tutorials on, how to retarget assets to the MetaHumans. We're also going to be releasing a big definitive workflow for the proper MetaHumans in a few days. But yeah, so that's why I don't recommend the retargeting workflow. I recommend this live streaming of a pre-recorded asset into Unreal, if that makes any sense. I know that's a little confusing, but essentially, this could be a live suit. Unreal doesn't really care. All it cares about is that the motion that's happening on this actor profile, Sam. So this could be a live suit. This could be a pre-recorded asset. The best part about using a pre-recorded asset is that you get access to the cleanup tools that we provide in Rokoko Studio. These cleanup tools don't exist in Unreal. So you can go through, record an asset in Rokoko Studio, clean up the feet, clean up any drift you might have, and then stream that cleaned asset into Unreal for your, and then record it to that character in Unreal for your final product. So again, check our tutorials. I know that's like a lot of word vomit, but this is the workflow that I recommend. I always recommend recording your motion capture into Unreal Studio and then using our cleanup filters, because the suit data is really, you can get great raw data from the suit, but it's intended to be used with just 30 seconds of cleanup using our filters, which again, I promise you are easy to use and are well worth it. They make it so that, you can do karate kicks and you can run and you can do things with your suit that otherwise might give you errors. So it's really, the suit is meant to be used in tandem with the software. So that was a long answer, but hopefully that answered your question, Jason. Jason, another question. Can you use the Smart Suit Pro with MetaHumans, but then use the Live Link Face app from Unreal to do the face capture? Absolutely. Yep, it's all modular. You could just use the smart gloves if you wanted and just stream that over. You could just stream the body and you could animate the fingers later. You can absolutely use Unreal's solution instead of ours. The nice thing about ours is that it's all timed up together and it's all in this nice little package in Rokoko Studio ready for you. Olu, this works only with Unreal. So the MetaHumans you can export out to other programs. There's some weird licensing stuff, I believe. I'm not positive, but I think you have to kind of bring them back into Unreal for the final product. I think that you can't like bring them into Blender and then export an animation from Blender. You can bring them into Blender to tweak them or maybe modify the meshes or something like that. But I think you have to bring them back into Unreal. So this is all really built around Unreal. And honestly, I think this is what's driving a lot of people to start moving over to Unreal. Certainly, it's been a big driver for me to start learning Unreal properly. So it's supposed to be Unreal focused. Can you, don't know the source from this one, but question, can you edit the skeleton of Rokoko to a chibi MetaHuman? So I think that's like a cute little MetaHuman. Maybe I'm ignorant, but like a stylized MetaHuman. Yes, you can put Rokoko motion capture in characters of all sizes with, with big arms, with short legs, with big heads. It doesn't really matter. What you're going to get though, eventually, which is a issue across all motion capture, is You know, you might have, if you're in your motion capture, you're doing this motion, right, with your body proportions. If I have my character's arms are 2 times as long, this motion is going to mean my character's arms are now like this. And that's just a proportion thing. That's why you have to clean up motion capture footage. You know, Matt Workman, Citizen One, amazing Unreal evangelist out there. He put out a great video recently about cleanup in Unreal. And he made the point that many often do, which is that cleanup is a part of motion capture. It just is. It always will be until things change a lot. That's why Rokoko Studio is so fantastic, is because that cleanup that you will have to do, it's easy. It's a few clicks. It's 30 seconds. And you don't have to like go through and make sure the foot is staying in the same place in Blender or Cinema 4D. That can get really painful. So a lot of these cleanup tools are automated in Rokoko Studio. So I have another question. I have a male talent and I want to map it onto a MetaHuman with a big belly from the Rokoko suit. Do the MetaHumans have body dynamics, body jiggle? And can I use the skinny talent, or do I need to find a big belly talent? He needs that belly jiggle, or she. We don't know who's asking this question. No, so I don't believe so. The MetaHumans are not going to have body jiggle that you might find in like an animation that people are making, say in Houdini or something. That is a little bit more high level. The goal with the MetaHumans is to give you the most, the highest fidelity, highest quality character without killing your system and without making things super complicated. Internal body collision is always going to be complicated-ish. So I don't think that's on the roadmap, but things could change. Who knows? Unreal 5 is coming out very soon. So who knows? The sky's the limit really with this stuff, but it's not in there right now. Another question. Thank you everyone for staying tuned. And again, you know, I'll just mention right now, I've said it a few times, but we're going to send out an email after this webinar with the recording of the webinar. It's going to include the discount code to get 10% off of your Rokoko mocap order, which is great. Again, because these MetaHumans, especially if you're into Unreal and you're into this full performance capture, you know, getting body, gloves, facial capture onto a character, it's never been easier than it is right now in Unreal. So you can also try out those free project files that we're going to be giving away. That will also be in the email that we send out after the webinar, and you can find those in the links in the descriptions of some of our YouTube videos too. So a question from Jonathan Franks. Our studio is very interested in capturing humans via photogrammetry, and we're wondering if with the MetaHuman creator, can they add their faces separately to the body we created? Okay, so I think what you were basically want to do here is you want to use a MetaHuman head on a photogrammetry body, or you want to use a photogrammetry head on a MetaHuman body. Either way, you can absolutely do that, right? The method that we walked through earlier, isolating the MetaHuman head, I was very excited about that method, and as hacky as it is, because it allows you to do stuff like that. Like, you know, if you had a photogrammetry of a actor or something, I would create a MetaHuman that had the same skin tone maybe as your actor, as your photogrammetry model. And then I would rig up that photogrammetry model. I'd get rid of everything above, you know, the neck. And then I just plop the MetaHuman head on, and you have a MetaHuman that has facial capture, that has dynamic hair, ready to go on your photogrammetry model. So I think there's a lot of hacky ways to combine the MetaHumans, either their bodies or their heads or their hands, whatever it is, with other models to get these results that you could use in a music video or whatever you're trying to create. Good question from Jonathan. EQ, any idea whether it's possible to put an extra layer, like a clown mask or something, on top of the face skin of the MetaHumans? So you can absolutely, all the textures of the MetaHumans, they're just texture files, right? They're just JPEGs. So you could go into those texture files and like draw a clown mask on it, and it's gonna stick into place. And you just replace the texture in that MetaHumans folder, you know, and and you would have a clown mask on their face. The MetaHuman creator right now, again, it's in its alpha, but eventually I'm pretty sure their vision for MetaHumans are that you're going to have people who are doing their own sculpts like in ZBrush and importing them into MetaHuman Creator. There's going to be an ability to take photographs of people and like automatically generate a MetaHuman from that photograph. I don't know if that's absolutely a thing, but they've alluded to it in some of their streams and stuff. There's going to be a store basically where people can make clothing and masks and specific MetaHumans, and people will be making the clown it and selling it with a MetaHuman on the MetaHuman store. All that's going to be coming when MetaHuman exits alpha. So there's going to be a lot of customization eventually. This workflow that I went through is kind of until that point, right? You can isolate the head and use it on like a clown body or whatever. But yeah, you can absolutely change the textures and it'll work like any texture. You just throw it back on and it'll have a clown mask on it. I hope you do that and that you tag us if you make something. Can mocap figures with the mesh overlay be exported as OBJ files for Blender? Yeah, I think that they can be. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that they can be. They can also be exported from Quixel. So remember, Quixel is the software with all the MetaHumans. And if you go to export settings in Quixel, edit export settings, you can you can select just a custom disk export. And so that would just export out an FBX that you could then import into Blender or whatever it is. I'm not sure how it is using the MetaHumans in Blender. You might want to read a blog or something about that because, I think they're intended to be used with Unreal and they want to keep them within the Unreal ecosystem. So I don't know if you can like use them in Blender for whatever you want. I check that. But yes, you can bring them into Blender, absolutely. I just don't know if you can then use them in Blender. You might have to bring them back into Unreal. So is there a way where we can force the export of the mesh and the textures? Oh, this is the same question from Dion. Yeah, you can export them from Quixel into your software, whatever it is. I'm actually going to end my screen share. So I'm looking at you guys again. That's okay. I'm back. Man, still 545 people in attendance. Awesome. Thank you all for joining. And again, I keep saying it, but go check out those free project files, 5 free project files. They're still actually uploading. So I think there's 3 in the folder that we're going to send out right now, but they're ready to go. If you have a Rokoko system, or if you just want to download Rokoko Studio, which you can do for free, and it comes with a bunch of sample animations, you can test out this whole workflow with those sample animations and the free project files for Unreal and to see if you like, the whole system. And could be cool to just play around with. Can models rigged with A pose be used with Rokoko instead of T pose? Not yet. No, we know that is a thing. We are working on creating an Unreal A pose solution. Unreal, again, we talked to their team and again, I can't confirm this, but the sense I got is that they are also going to be starting to accommodate T-poses a little bit more. So this should all get easier. The T-pose, A-pose thing I know is a nightmare for a lot of people, but that should get solved either on our end or on Unreal's end shortly. We know that is a pain, but for now you're creating those pose assets in Unreal. Follow the tutorials if you want to know how to get your MetaHuman into that T-pose so you can use it with the Rokoko mocap. Interesting. Jason Harwell, I can't seem to export or import from Quixel. I get an error after downloading that says this asset can only be directly imported to Unreal Engine or Maya. I check your export settings in Quixel. So make sure that you have installed the plugin to your you create an Unreal project, and let me share my screen again. But you would create an Unreal project, and then you have to make sure to put a plugins folder in that project, and then you direct Quixel to install the plugin to that folder. And then in Unreal, if you don't see this button up here, it means that your plugin is not installed correctly. This button, this mega scans button, means that the plugin from Quixel has been installed in this project specifically, and you have to make sure it's right for every project. So maybe that's your issue. I don't know. Jason. From David Huff, do the animations from Rokoko get remapped to the MetaHuman control rig? So, or does it overwrite the bones directly and get converted back? So let's record something really quick to this MetaHuman, and I'll show you how I get this into Sequencer. This is something that is important to go through. And again, you can check our tutorials for how I do this. But if we hit play, right, we're still getting all of our data. Is the facial data still there? It doesn't look like it, so I'm gonna hit stop. Just gonna clear this out and make sure that I've got the face. Hit play. Okay, we've got facial data and we've got body data, right? Everything's working. So if I wanted to record this mocap to our character to put into Sequencer, right, to export out or to put into a project to, like, you know, add a camera and do this for real, what I would do is I would go to my take recorder and I would add my Paragon character skeleton, so this Quang skeleton, and then I'm going to add my MetaHuman blueprint, which is this BP. And now if I just hit record, I would normally go into like Rokoko Studio and line up, you know, my mocap to the right place, you know, to the beginning, and I would hit play when that recording starts. I would record it into Unreal. And the reason I'm doing this and not, you know, I'm doing this from a pre-recorded asset and not live while I'm wearing a suit is because I want to use all of these filters that we can only use on recorded assets, right? So I'm going to hit stop, done recording. And then I'll create a new, I'm going to stop my play mode. I'm going to create a new level sequence. I'm going to call this Quang Meta. I'm going to import my character. And as soon as I do that, you can see that it brings in both my character and it brings in my MetaHuman face. So there is a way to bake the animation to a control rig, which you can then add additive animations on top, right? So we could bake this animation to the facial control rig. And then, like, let's say the smile wasn't going wide enough, or we wanted our character to look sadder, we could add in those tweaks on top of the animation that we already recorded. And in the next few days, we're going to have a big kind of a definitive workflow for the MetaHumans for recording and baking to the control rig. And so stay tuned for that. But so you can bake it to the control rig. But if I just wanted to use that animation I just got, I would delete that control rig. And then I just add that animation we recorded. I select the animation, use animation asset, select that animation, then I key it. And then for the body, I'm going to add animation, go find what we recorded, which is hiding in here somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. I will change this to use animation asset, and then I gotta go find it again. Should be, it's down here in the middle somewhere. I just saw it. Where are you? Where are you? Hold on, just up. There it is. Key it. And so now we can hit play in Sequencer. And we have our recorded animation asset. And again, this is in lieu of retargeting it, like exporting this asset from Rokoko Studio and retargeting it. We streamed it in live and we recorded it to our character. And that's because we wanted to use all the cleanup filters on a pre-recorded asset in Rokoko Studio, if that makes any sense. But, you know, once we have it here, we can move these animations, we can tweak these animations, we can bake them to a control rig and add additive animations, add a camera, you know, we can do all the normal sequencer things that we would want to do. And you can export this out and have a really high fidelity scene. So stop my share. Hopefully that answered some questions. That was kind of a long-winded question. Is it possible to use the idle animation you have in MetaHuman Creator inside of Unreal? So I do think that it is possible. I think actually when you download a MetaHuman into Unreal, it comes with those idle animations. It's located somewhere in Unreal. So you have to go and hunt for it, but I'm pretty sure that it comes down with the character. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's in there. Someone asked when they were submitting questions beforehand, can you get the lighting setup that's in MetaHuman Creator? I don't think that you can get that. That is like, but you can always just add, you know, they have this, I'll share my screen again, going back, ping ponging back and forth. But if you go to, you know, they added this HDRI backdrop plugin now. And so it's really easy to like get an HDRI in your scene. You know, and you can change this. It comes with a bunch of standard ones. Look at that, looking good. Reflections on the armor. So I think it might use the same lighting setups that you can find in this HDR backdrop. I'm not positive. So, how do you get the T-pose to reset? I'm not sure what that question means, but if you follow our tutorials on YouTube, we show you how to get the MetaHuman reposed into a T-pose. It's using a pose asset, and it's there will be a solution coming from Unreal, is my understanding. Hopefully, that makes it easier to get your MetaHuman into a T-pose. That should be added automatically to the MetaHumans at some point soon. Hi there, fixing the lips not closing works, but the teeth still keep being fully not closed. So Alessandro, I think that's, it probably depends on the MetaHuman. But either way, that method of fixing the lips, you can do that with the jaw as well. So the jaw up and down, that lower jaw probably, you'd want to look for something with a lower jaw instead of mouth lower shrug lower that I think we were adding. You would add in a mouth jaw lower. And you would do the same tweak, right? It would be an additive tweak so that the jaw would just not come down as far and always be a little bit more closed. So hopefully that answers your question, but it should be doable. Add curve modifier, same process. If I download a body model, this is from Eric, to use with the Rokoko suit, what should it contain to make it move and bend at the joints properly? As in, should there be something in the model make it move? Bones. Yes. So that is a good question. And it's not, I mean, it's not a noob question. We're all noobs when it comes to CG, right? It all changes super quickly. There's no dumb questions. Everyone's learning. The people making Star Wars are learning as much as we are. Everyone's learning. So no noob questions. But yes, you do need a rigged character. I think what you're referring to there is, you know, the difference between having a mesh, a character mesh, so that's just the character model, but then it needs bones to be added to that model so that when you, and then you need to bind the bones to that character in order to use the bones to move the model, right? Because Rokoko mocap is always going to be talking to the bones of your character. It's not going to be talking to the mesh of your character. So you do need a, you know, what's called a rigged character. It's a character that has a skeleton. And if you're searching on Sketchfab or TurboSquid for characters, you just click the rigged button and that will ensure that there's a skeleton there. Lots of tutorials for that sort of stuff. I'd check I'd search rigged character on YouTube. Okay, we're going to keep answering questions. Still a bunch of people here. So our team is still on. We're going to go for another 19 minutes, I think. But if you're still around again and you missed it, I just want to say, again, we will be sending out 5 free project files that are completely set up and ready to go with your Rokoko motion capture system. You just need to open them up and change the actor profile name in there, and then hit play, and it will work with your Rokoko mocap. So we're super excited about those 5 free project files that you can download. Also, we have that discount code, 10% discount on all of your Rokoko mocap ordering on our website. Super exciting, and we're pumped to be able to offer those to people, to get people using these MetaHumans, because they're amazing. Okay, let's keep answering some questions. Thanks for all the questions, guys. These are amazing. Our list is, I have a Google sheet here where the team is filling it out, and it's just like, it's great. Hopefully these are helpful for everyone. Okay, so this is from Martin. How do I make the same bone structure for animation retarget from a random FBX? So I think what you're asking there is, let's say you have you have your mocap, and that has a skeleton, and then you have your character, your rigged character, and that has a skeleton. And let's say the character skeleton is different from the mocap skeleton. That's fine. They don't need to be the same skeletons for them to talk to each other. What you do need to do is you need to define what in each skeleton is what, so that they can talk to each other. So if that sounds confusing, essentially what you need to do is say, for both characters, they're both going to have a hip bone, right? That will be a thing. They'll both have a hip bone. They might be called different things, but you just need to go in a character definition. So in Maya, it's called a character definition. In Unreal, it's called a bone list. And essentially what you're doing is you're telling Unreal, okay, this bone in my character, which is called hip bone final, that's my hip bone, even though it's not called hip or pelvis. And then it has 2 spine bones, let's say, instead of my mocap's 5 spine bones. Well, you just need to make sure that the mocap has at least a few of this. It knows that where the spine bones are, and they can still talk to each other. It doesn't really matter if there are a different number of bones and things like that. What matters is that you are at some point defining the bones of each, your mocap and your character, onto one single list with one single nomenclature that Unreal then knows, or Maya then knows, or Blender then knows, okay, these are the 2 bones that need to talk to each other. And then next, these are the 2 spine bones that need to talk to each other. And then next, this is the neck bone that needs to talk to each other. And maybe they're not called both neck, but you tell the program, okay, this neck is called neck 01. This neck is called neck base joint. They're the same thing. And you just have to tell the programs, which bones are which. So there's usually a bone defining process somewhere in your mocap journey for getting your mocap to talk to your character. Sorry, again, it's a little word vomity and you can get a little confusing, but we have tons of tutorials on YouTube, as I keep saying. Check them out if you want to find out about how to make your character's bones talk to your mocap's bones. If that makes any sense. Same thing goes for if you're downloading Mixamo animations. You're eventually going to need to get them to talk to your character's bones. And usually that's through defining a bone list. Milos, if I want to make a custom model, does it need to be optimized like a regular model for games, a low poly? I'm asking because UE5 announced infinite geometry. Yes. It depends. It depends on what you're doing. Optimization is different for your use, basically. If you have a mobile game that is meant to work on iPhone 6s, that's going to be a different optimization for a PS5 game, or maybe it's not, depending on how good iPhones are these days, I guess. But With UE5, apparently, yeah, geometry polygons are not going to be a thing anymore, which is crazy to think about. So I guess that won't be a limitation anymore. It's probably a bad thing, to be honest, because having that limitation requires you to think ahead, and it's good to be thinking about polygon numbers. So, but that being said, Unreal 5, yeah, supposedly infinite polygons or whatever. You could take a photogrammetry with 2 million polygons of a character and put it into Unreal, and I guess it's just going to read it just fine. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm sure it'll work, but it's good to have an eye on optimization. That's not a bad thing. You don't want your computer to crash. It also depends on your system, right? If you have a really good system, you need less optimization. So just depends. Mauro is asking, even the hair color is a texture. Yeah, you can change the hair color in MetaHuman Creator. You can change it all. They have different hair lengths, and eventually you'll be able to edit the hair directly, and definitely you can change the colors. Or you could even download a MetaHuman as it is now, and there's a hair texture. So you could go into Photoshop and mess with that texture. You could add highlights or something if you wanted. And then you just bring that texture back in and add it to the hair. So it's just a texture, yeah. Martina's asking, can you stream the data to the control rig and record it in sequencer? So, or can you only record an arm movement and add that to a different body animation? It would get messy. I think if I understand what you're saying correctly, which is that you would want to record some mocap, like a full body mocap, and then you only want to use the arm. It's definitely possible. You can definitely use bits and pieces of mocap. It's definitely possible. It just might get a little tricky. And then we will have a tutorial on how to bake to the control rig so that you can make additive animations on top of your mocap. Matt Workman has a great tutorial for that out right now if you want to search his channels. Matt Workman, Cinematic Database, I think is the name of his channel. Or you can check Citizen One on YouTube. Matt Workman, he's amazing. Can I, this is from Gustav, can I add the arm space difference in the capture blueprint or the Rokoko setup? Can that do it for me? The arm space difference, interesting. I think what you mean, Gustav, is that you might want to, let's say you have a really big torso and your arms are clipping, and you want to make sure the arms are further out from the body. You can definitely do that. It's all a matter of that initial pose asset where you're putting your character in a T pose. If I had a big body and I wanted to make sure that my arms, in my mocap, my arms were maybe at my sides, but on my character, I want the arms to be out wider because I have a big belly. I would just, in that initial pose asset, I would pose the arms up higher, right? And then for when it takes in the mocap, the arms are always going to be a little bit up higher. So that's one way you can fix that. Another way would be to bake it to the control rig and then add animation layers on top of your mocap to raise the arms or give them more space. This is a great question from William. Is the MetaHuman not too heavy to be used in live stream? Is there a way to optimize it? So the MetaHuman for our workflow is actually, if you have nothing else in the scene, it's pretty fast, and it should honestly be good to go at the highest level of detail depending on your setup, right? But that being said, you can always bring the level of detail for the MetaHuman. There's 8 levels of detail on these MetaHumans. 0 is the highest, with the pores and the little tiny nose hairs that are catching the light. But that goes all the way up to 8, which is optimized for mobile platforms. And so you could find a middle ground that works for your system, I think. And the key is really keeping your scene as not populated as possible. If I was going to do live streaming as like a VTuber, in my scene, I would have nothing. I would have just my MetaHuman. I would have a couple lights, and I would not have trees moving and dynamic ragdolls. You just need to keep the scene kind of empty. Unless you have the most beastiest computer in the world, and you're running SLI 3090s, and it just depends on your system. But for my system, and I'm running an RTX 2080, it's fine. And we're going to have a VTuber workflow that's going to be coming out soon. We've had a lot of workflows like this on the books, but things change so fast in the MetaHuman world that we want to make sure we can give you the most definitive workflow that we can without having to change it the next week. So VTuber workflow coming soon, and it should be great. It's totally possible, William. Cyril is asking, is your face link calibrated with this pipeline? I think you don't have the perfect Apple face. Probably true. So your default pose is not, yeah. So I have not gotten into calibrating the facial, the facial live link situation. I know that you can. So I encourage you to, yeah, there's tutorials I've seen about it, and I know that it's a thing. I find that just changing the lips is fine for me, and it gives me incredible fidelity. You can absolutely, I think you are supposed to maybe go in and do a calibration with the AR kit, right? I think is what you're meaning. And then it'll give you a more accurate facial mocap. So you can do that. It's all just facial data coming into Unreal. And at that point, you can make any changes you normally would to a facial, you would make the same changes that you would to Unreal's facial mocap solution. It's the same technology. So it's all the same processes. Zolt, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Is there going to be additional ways to process speech capture, such as blending with Vizime? So I'm not sure what a Vizime is. I've never seen that word before, but I assume what it is some sort of smart pose where you're smiling and the system will know you're smiling, and it will trigger a pre-recorded animation of smiling, and it'll kind of smartly move between your actual motion capture and like pre-made kind of poses. So I don't know. I haven't looked into that. I know that NVIDIA just released a lip sync tool that looks really interesting. You could use that with a Rokoko motion capture suit. Absolutely. A lot of these bits are all modular, right? You have your suit, you have your gloves, and you have your face, and you can use any parts of that system with other tools, right? You could use the body and the gloves with the Unreal system, with the Unreal facial motion capture, with the NVIDIA facial motion capture. The advantage of using our system is that it's all one nice little package. It's all synced up together, to the 100th of a second of a frame. That's why it's nice to use. And our facial motion capture app is free, and you can test out that whole live streaming system. We have a free 30-day trial of the live streaming, so you can download Rokoko Studio and give it a test right now. But yeah. Tomas, I created a MetaHuman in the web application, and how do I export it into Unreal? You need Quixel Bridge. It will show your MetaHuman that you created online will populate in Quixel Bridge. You will download it in Quixel Bridge, and then you will export it to Unreal via that downloaded copy from Quixel Bridge. So it doesn't go from the online portal. MetaHuman Creator is on an online portal, so in your browser. It will populate your Quixel Bridge, and at that point, you can bring it into Unreal. So that's probably the missing step there, Tomas. What is the most correct way to export an animation of the MetaHuman from Unreal to be able to create a dynamic of the dress on Marvelous Designer? So that's an interesting question. I think what you would try to do is you would retarget, or you would record motion capture to your MetaHuman in Unreal, and then you would export an FBX or an Alembic, which I don't know if you can do, from Unreal, which you would then bring into Marvelous Designer. You would do all the dress and dynamics and animation, and then you would export that dress back into Unreal and pair them up. And that's kind of the workflow there. Marvelous Designer is always going to be its own thing. The nice thing about Unreal and about these metahumans and about where it's going is that there will be a marketplace with dynamic clothing and stuff that will be available, that should have tons of options eventually. That's what I'm hoping for. And in that case, all of those dynamics are going to be built in to your character. So it might not be as high quality as Marvelous Designer. Marvelous Designer is really high quality, but it will be easier than using Marvelous Designer. We just have a few more minutes. And will the face capture also work on metahumans, or is it only the rig? No, face capture works on the metahumans. Are there any updates for when face capture will be out for Android? No, there aren't. It's coming. It's on the list. We're working on it. It's not anytime soon, unfortunately, but it is coming. So iPhone for now. Do I know of any tutorials to transfer Rokoko mocap to the Unreal animation rigging toolkit in Maya? I don't. But it's it's an FBX. I would use the character definition system in Maya to do all that. I don't know if that answers your question. I haven't heard of that. I'm sorry. And then the final question we're going to answer. One of the problems that I've had is when I record an animation with the take recorder. Okay, you're getting Unreal crashes. So what I would do in that situation is if you are in the same project, sometimes you get a sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Sometimes you get a corrupted project. So if you're trying the same project on multiple PCs and it's crashing a lot, I would just kill that project and you just got to start that guy over, which really sucks. If it's still crashing, I would make sure with a new project, I would make sure that your level of detail on your MetaHuman is at the lowest it can be, out at 8, not at 0. So the lowest level of detail to keep your machine from crashing. I would make the scene level of detail lower. And then barring all of that, sometimes things that fix it is a uninstall of Unreal, that Unreal Engine copy, and a reinstall. You could try that. And that's kind of where my advice would be for that. Okay, so we still have 346 people here. There's people dropping off, I think, a little bit, but this is where we're going to end it. So, everyone, thank you so much for showing up. This was so awesome. For those of you who are still here, I actually forgot to mention this earlier, but we have another webinar coming up next month with Ian Hubert, the one and only. So switching over to some Blender stuff. But Ian's going to hop on and we're going to talk about all of his crazy workflows and everything. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And so we'll be sending out links. And if you check our Instagram, we'll have updates about that webinar and when it's going to happen. I think it's June 17th is what we've locked in. So that's going to be super exciting and fun with Ian Hubert, who's one of our power users. As I've said a few times, we have tutorials for these metahumans up on our YouTube. What I went through today is up on our YouTube. We'll be live later today, so you can go check out that tutorial in full for how to isolate a metahuman head and use it on a non-metahuman body like that robot character that I had working. In that video and in the email we're going to send you after, we'll have how to find this recording of this webinar and also those 5 project files that are completely free that you can download and use your Rokoko motion capture on, or you can use other assets on. They're free project files. You can use them as you wish. Just tag us if you make anything using your sweet Rokoko motion capture. And then finally, I will mention again, we have that discount, 10% off all of your orders on Rokoko.com. If you are on the fence, now's the time to jump. These metahumans, I cannot say it enough. They've opened up an entirely new world of possibilities for our motion capture and our full performance capture. The things that you can do are truly AAA quality, and you can do this stuff in a day. And I'm not exaggerating, because I am not the best Unreal user. I had crashes, in this stream, although I think that's because my computer is doing a lot of stuff, but I'm a relative newbie in Unreal. I figured it all out. We have tutorials on the website, and it's really very accessible. For the first time, having these super, super, super high quality characters be available for free, it's just something else. It really opens up the possibilities of what you can create with your Rokoko motion capture and just in general for the entire Unreal community. So thank you all again for joining. Come back for the next one. We loved having you. And yeah, we will see you on the next one. Check our YouTube for those tutorials. And I'm going to say bye again. I'm Sam. And thank you. Big shout out to our team in Denmark who has been up late into the evening answering all of these questions. They answered almost 500 questions during the stream. And yeah, we were so excited. Thank you from all of us at Rokoko for joining us. So I'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.